Our story today comes from the Get Messy magazine, which is published by BRF, the Bible Reading Fellowship. It was written by Carolyn Rasmussen, who runs a Messy church in Denmark. The story is called It Only Took One Stone, and it is a story told by Samuel of David fighting Goliath. God's people, the Israelites, were getting ready to fight an army. They were camped on a hill. The enemy army was on another hill across the valley. The enemy army, the Philistines, had a soldier named Goliath. Goliath was very big, about 10 feet tall, very strong and very tall. He was a giant. Every day for 40 days, Goliath would shout mean things at King Saul and the Israelites. Then he would say, "Choose someone to come and fight me. If he wins, we will serve you. If I win, you must serve us." King Saul and his men were afraid. Goliath was so big that no one wanted to fight him by himself. One day, David came to the camp to bring his brothers some food from their father Jesse. David heard the giant yelling, and David couldn't understand why no one would fight Goliath. David knew that God was stronger than the giant, and David knew God would help the Israelites win. One of the soldiers told King Saul what David was saying, so King Saul sent for David. When David arrived, he told King Saul, "I will fight Goliath." King Saul said, "You can't do that. You're just a boy." But David answered, "When I was a shepherd, taking care of my father's sheep, I had to kill a lion and a bear. I know that the Lord, who helped me protect my sheep from lions and bears, will help me fight the giant." Saul wanted David to wear the king's armour and use his sword. But when David tried to walk around with those things on, he said, "I can't fight in these," and he took them off. So King Saul said, "Go, and the Lord be with you." Then David went and found 5 smooth stones to use with his sling. Now he was ready to fight the giant. When Goliath saw David, Goliath got angry. This person was just a young man. He didn't have a sword, a spear, or a shield. He didn't have anything except a sling. So Goliath yelled, "Come here, and I will kill you." As the giant came closer, David ran towards him. David put a stone in his sling and shot it at the giant. The stone struck Goliath in the forehead. Goliath fell and died. When the enemy army saw what happened, they were afraid and started to run away. King Saul and his army chased after the enemy army and killed them. David trusted God to help him. He had faith, and God used David to help save the Israelites from the enemy army.
If you stop to think, I'm sure you could think of lots of stories that were like David and Goliath, where the little guy, or the person everybody ignores, comes to the rescue when there's a big problem. In Africa, they tell stories of how huge elephants are frightened of little mice. The army of Israel was facing a fierce enemy, which included Goliath the giant. Everybody saw the size of the giant, the strength of the giant, and they felt powerless. Who can beat him? He's so big, he's so strong, and we're not. Everybody was focused on the problem, except David. David was focused on God and knew that God was bigger than any problem and stronger than any giant. David trusted God to help him defeat the giant because David had experienced God protecting him from wild animals in the past. David trusted God. He knew God was on his side. He knew God was always the strongest and always had the last word. All of us face problems, some small, some big. We live in very uncertain times. In our problems and uncertainty, we can trust God because he is for us and he's bigger than any of our problems. Jesus has defeated death and he gives us his life-giving Holy Spirit to help us face our problems. If you face a problem, tell God about it and ask him to give you courage to face it. Courage isn't the opposite of fear, but courage helps us face our fears. There are some questions about courage for you to talk about in the instructions, on the instruction sheet in the bag. It's now time to look into your bags. We hope you enjoy doing the crafts and activities, and there are a few treats in there too. We'd love to hear how you get on, so could you send us some photos to our Facebook page? God bless, and see you at the next Message Church in a Bag on October the 24th.